Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Network. One of the biggest things to be excited about with the Switch 2 is the GameCube NOS is coming. We get things kicked off strong with Wind Waker, Soul Calibur, and F-Zero GX or 5D or Zexal, I can't remember. And I will never not look for an opportunity to play Wind Waker. But it got me thinking about the GameCube in general. I love that system. I remember waiting in a mire for like 4 in the afternoon to midnight, waiting to purchase one at launch. Christmas music was on loop with me and my friend Matt, along with random strangers hooking up our GBAs with a link cable to play Bomberman. Those were the days. But I also remember having to defend it constantly with friends at the time, and I'm happy that it is getting the recognition now. But back in the early 2000s, you were kiddie if you didn't jump onto the Xbox or focus on the PS2. Nothing wrong with them, but I was and still am a tried and true Nintendo guy, through the good and the bad. But the GameCube has had some stellar games that I cannot wait to jump into again, and I wanted to go through my top 10 GameCube games I wanted to see on the Nintendo online services. Now some might be harder to get than others, but Nintendo has gotten other companies to jump into the other systems, so I didn't want to limit my options. Narrowing it down to 10 was difficult, so let's just dive on in. Number 10. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. There's something about Star Wars games I just really enjoy. I actually like them more than the movies. I think upon reviewing it in my head, I like the world of Star Wars more than the stories in those movies. I enjoy them well enough, but they aren't ones I tend to circle back to around watching often. In fact, the last time I watched the original trilogy was with the help of Riff Tracks. But the games, I love the Star Wars games. I've even had a chance to review a few. So being able to fly around in epic space fights, yes please. This game was a ton of fun to just explore as you were trying not to be shot down. For myself, I have great memories of the game, but I don't actually recall ever owning it. It was a launch title for the GameCube, and I naturally purchased Luigi's Mansion. I just can't recall actually having it in my possession. I probably was borrowing it from a friend, but I still would like to jump back into an X-Wing and fly across the galaxy far, far away. Number 9. Custom Robo. First and foremost, this is another game I know I never owned. I really liked it, I played it a bunch, and I played it at my friend Matt's house, who naturally destroyed me every chance we played. But a little history on the series. In Custom Robo, you create custom robots to battle it out. It was the early 2000s. Using something to fight something else was kind of the thing. Pocket monsters, digital monsters, spinning tops, and of course robots. There was a lot of ways to customize them as well to make them unique. I especially think it would be great with online multiplayer. Quick fact here, the custom robo we got for the GameCube was actually the 4th in the series, but the first outside of Japan. The first game in the series was for the Nintendo 64, then Custom Robo V2 was also for the N64. The third, Custom Robo GX, which I assume using the GX moniker means it takes place in a school where you're wearing a red, yellow, or blue jacket, came out on the GBA. The one we know in the US was called Battle Revolution before Pokemon took that name, and then one last game in the series came out for the DS worldwide. There hasn't been any more games since 2007. It's a bit sad, and I wish I invested in the game back then because I always really enjoyed playing it, but I can see it getting a second life on the NOS. Number 8. Animal Crossing. Look, I really do enjoy New Horizons and the newer titles in the Animal Crossing series, well, most of them, but the original is something special. Well, original to us. Japan had the series back in the N64 era, but it was ported to the GameCube with a lot more other things added to the game for international release. I always felt the animals in your town were more alive in that first game. You did more errands for them, and that's how you got items, shirts, and other things. And perhaps there is some nostalgia coming into play here, but I don't care, it's my list and it's only number 8. I think people who started with New Leaf or New Horizon would probably not enjoy it as much, but it would be a fun blast from the past for sure. Number 7. Star Fox Adventures. Yes, the dinosaur-loving guy wants Dinosaur Planet. I know this game has issues. I know it is not loved by a lot of the Star Fox community compared to other games. I understand that it's kind of a watered-down Zelda, but I really don't care. It has dinosaurs, it has talking dinosaurs, it has a giant evil T-Rex boss fight, it has amazing ambiance and music. It has that special rare touch. The game has flaws, like hyping up general scales to just do absolutely nothing at the end of the game. But the game is also a rather quick one, so revisiting it or tackling it for the first time is not too imposing. I could honestly sit in Thorntail Hollow and just breathe in the atmosphere. I'm serious when I say this might be my most favorite flawed game ever, and I think people need to get a chance to play it again. Rare had something special that did get muddied down, but it shines through a lot of the time. Number 6. Mario Kart Double Dash. I'm getting tired of this revisionist history. Not just a few years ago, Double Dash was bashed tirelessly, and it was getting annoying. It's too different, it's rubbery, it's too chaotic. Yeah, and it felt like a natural progression for the series at the time. I can't say it's my favorite Mario Kart, but it is a ton of fun. And I don't know if people are getting a chance to play it more, although eBay prices are not the best, so I really don't know. Regardless, I think this is a shoo-in to come to service. It's more about when it's going to come to the service. Number 5. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It seems odd to say this, perhaps less nowadays, but a Sonic game coming to a Nintendo system was a big deal. The Dreamcast was dead. Sonic needed a place to call home. Sonic Adventure 2 sold pretty bad on the Dreamcast, around 500,000 copies, and it was meant to be the swan song for the system and perhaps the brand as a whole. And bringing Mario's rival of the 90s to the GameCube was risky, but boy did it pay off. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle sold 1.73 million copies on the GameCube, giving the Hedgehog a second life, and it ended up being the 14th best-selling game on the system. The game gave Sonic the ability to live on for generations, and it would be a shame for it not to get a chance to live again. I mean, the Switch NSO has the Genesis app, so how can it be a big deal to bring this over? From my personal opinion, it has some of the best speed-type levels in the series, plus that final epic battle, and then the music is just on point. Number 4. Mario Power Tennis. I'm not the biggest Mario sports guy. Most do not really grab me, but Power Tennis was different. It added quite a bit of chaotic fun to the formula established in the first game. Multiplayer was always a blast. And then the opening from Camelot, it's a classic and still beloved today. Plus, it gave me one of my favorite moments in life when my wife questioned how I knew the rules to tennis and I just simply answered Mario. And somehow she doesn't regret marrying me. Anyways, it was a must play for game nights back in the day and I hope it can come back. But this one's also probably more of a matter of when and not an if. Number 3. Skies of Arcadia Legends. This game was made originally for the Dreamcast, and we all know how that story ended, so it came back to the GameCube with Legends, which just meant Director's Cut. They added extra content from the original game. But I remember when I first got this game. My parents were out of town and I had the house to myself. Did I throw a huge party? Nope, I got a new video game and played the heck out of it. I don't want to give anything away as the story, although predictable and very late 90s, early 2000s JRPG, is still very good. You very much care about the characters and what happens to them. The battle system is turn-based, but your characters move on a 3D field, so a move that would hit everyone in its path is needed to be planned out and executed properly. It added a lot of layers. Then you also had the flying ships, it makes sense in context of the game, that battled. It was a bit slower and wasn't the highlight of the game for myself, but it still was fun. And they were limited, so they didn't overstay their welcome. This really probably shouldn't be that high on the list, but it is something that has a special place in my heart. It's hard to explain. Add in the fact that it's not a cheap game to find anymore, and it is perfect for this system. So my hope is if it comes to the NSO, then not only would I be able to play it again, but I encourage everyone to play it as well. It really is a special game, and I think it's worth everyone who enjoys JRPGs to give it a try. Number 2, Super Smash Bros. Melee. You all thought this was going to be number 1, didn't you? But of course it has to make the list. Melee was, and for many still is, the Nintendo GameCube game. And don't get me wrong, I love it, I miss playing it, but I think some people might find this a little sacrilegious. I prefer playing with items. I don't know, I think playing any of the Smash games for fun is much more enjoyable than competitive. I like dynamic stages, and not just Battleground. I like jokey characters that aren't competitive. I like pokey floats. I have nothing against competitive Smash, but I have run into many individuals who, not figuratively, but literally scoffed at me when I had items turned on for a fun, casual game. But I'm getting a bit off topic. Melee came out very early in the life of the GameCube, which in hindsight should have given the system a killer app to succeed, but alas it didn't. Melee still stands as the best-selling game for the GameCube, and it is well-deserved. From unlocking characters, the adventure modes, trophies, to introducing the US to Fire Emblem, Melee set the foundation for what Smash should be doing, a celebration of Nintendo gaming. When they announced this, because again, this is a matter of when, not if, unlike number 1, they're going to make a spectacle out of it. It'll be the one last thing in a direct. It will have that big impact and will help fans hold over until Smash Ultimate is revealed eventually. If you want to play with the wireless GameCube controller they are throwing out there, grab one now, because once this game is revealed, you will not be able to get it for a standard price. I, for one, can't wait to join the Melee once again, though. And the number 1 game I think needs added to the GameCube NSO, Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2. That's what, 3 Sega games on my list? Regardless, Sega was bringing their Dreamcast games to the GameCube for a second chance, a new life. Sound a bit familiar? But this game just screams NSO. For those who don't know this series, the game was a MMORPG before it was cool. The Dreamcast and what Sega was doing really was ahead of its time, as the point of this game was to connect with friends online and battle through different areas and bosses and level up. Porting it over to the GameCube meant you could also play offline solo or get one of these things. Yes, the GameCube could technically connect to the internet with one of these you could use via broadband or even dial-up. Additionally, this giant GameCube controller with a huge keyboard in the middle was produced, and now I want one to mount on the wall. Of course, they are ridiculously priced anymore and look really weathered and miscolored from the ones on eBay. I think I'll pass. But this would allow you to communicate in the middle of battle. I'm sure that went swimmingly. Regardless, this was just one of 8 games that could use online play, including Double Dash. Learn something new every day. And even though young Dustin never got to play online, he would grind levels with different characters solo, praying one day he may. It never happened. I don't even know if I was good at the game, I just really had a great time with it. It seems simple enough to master. Of course, I could get a ton of comments stating it wasn't. I just never dove deep enough into it, I guess. And with the added ability to play online, it seems like a near perfect fit for the GameCube NSO. And those are my top 10 games I want to come to the GameCube. Let me know if you think my list is well put together, or what would you put in this list? Tell me in the comments below. If you like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and join in the conversation in the comment section. This is the Nintendo Network, signing off.